Now, Everton's talks with the Friedkin Group have been called off. The takeover of the club has fallen apart after the two parties failed to reach an agreement. Someone who knows a lot more about this sort of thing than me and can explain it like I'm seven is Kieran Maguire, and he joins us now. Good afternoon, Kieran.
Afternoon, guys. How are we doing?
Very well, thank you. I'm a bit of an idiot when it comes to this sort of thing. I sort of know what's going on. Can you explain it a bit? How much trouble are Everton in now?
I don't think that they're in trouble. It's more of a delay and frustration, I think, from a fan's point of view than anything else. The Friedkin Group, who had effectively an exclusive opportunity to buy Everton, they put in around about £200 million as a goodwill effort. The more that they looked at the accounts and the more that they were looking at the previous proposed owners, 777, the less they liked. They weren't able to get any assurances that 777 would take a reduction in what was owed to them. I felt that there was a breakdown in the relationship with Farhad Moshiri. He was still looking for £50 million himself, and from my understanding, that was about 49,999,000 more than they were willing to pay for the shares.
Right.
So it's a pricing issue, and it's a bit messy behind the scenes, but it's not a crisis.
On the face of it, Everton is a really attractive proposition, isn't it? Leaving aside the sort of financial issues, because they've got this fabulous new stadium to come on stream. They're a Premier League team. I mean, everybody wants to get involved with that. But I'm just wondering, do the new financial rules put owners off? Because even if you are extremely rich, it's quite hard to spend your money. It's so restrictive.
Well, certainly that the PSR rules would restrict whoever came in, because as we know, Everton have been right at the limit as far as their financial position is concerned. But I think a smart owner who comes in and sees the additional revenues that can be generated from the Bramley-Moore Dock project, not just on match days, but non-match days as well, that does make it attractive. Everton fans would certainly fill out that stadium. So there's lots of positives. The rules are far from perfect that we have, but I don't think that they're actually put off the owner. It's more to do with inheriting all of the debt. It's a bit like somebody offers you a brand new house, but at the same time, they tell you, oh, by the way, there's £800 million on an outstanding mortgage that you have to deal with. And that's what's put off the new owners.
Did you expect there to be more business done because of the PSR rules? And has it surprised you that more clubs aren't in trouble with this?
Not really. I think PSR is very independent. Owners want to make money. So, PSR is there to try to restrict the losses. I know that we've seen frustration at Newcastle, for example, where the owners are possibly the richest people on the planet, and therefore they've got unlimited funds. But most owners who are looking to get a financial return on their investment, they're in favour of cost controls. If you take a look at Super League, if you take a look at Project Big Picture, those would have been far more draconian rules that would have been introduced, and with the aim of switching the power in football away from the players and the agents, more towards the billionaire owners. So it's a fight between billionaires and millionaires, and the billionaires wanted to have a greater say of the action.
So the Friedkin Group, they're going to, they say they will remain a lender to the club. So they've got money in the stadium. I think they've helped bankroll the stadium, haven't they? But where do Everton go from here? Are they just sort of back on the market? Is that what? And is Farhad Moshiri just still in charge?
Yeah, Farhad Moshiri is still the owner. He's still got 94% of the shares. There are 3 or 4 other very interested parties who weren't allowed to get involved because he'd get granted exclusivity to Friedkin. I don't think there's a problem over the course of the summer. Everton have just sold a player to Villa. They've just had their first receipt from summer league for 24, sold 25, and they've had season ticket sales as well. So there's money in the bank account to pay the bills for the next few months. That's not an issue. There's a broader issue in terms of the stadium. From what I understand, there's still probably another 70 to 80 million pounds to find there, but that's not needed immediately. So I think there's enough time to find a new owner and for them to do a deal if Farhad Moshiri starts to see sense. And I think that's the biggest problem that the club have.
Do you expect other teams to get points deductions? Do you think it's going to be a bit like last season, or is everybody all right?
A lot of clubs did a lot of work before the 30th of June. We had that swap, but not quite player swap arrangement between clubs like Chelsea and Villa and Newcastle and Everton and so on. So I think those clubs are probably feeling reasonably confident that they're within the limits. We've seen Chelsea sell some properties and potentially sell the women's club to themselves, which will constitute part of their PR sale calculations. I think the one outstanding concern is in respect of Leicester. They appeared last season to be neither a Premier League club or an EFL club when it came to charges, due to where they stood, having just been relegated. And I suspect that the Premier League is now going through its rule book, and there could be a potential issue there, though we don't know how bad their accounts were as far as PSR calculations compared to the accounting.
Kieran, I knew a lot more now than I did when you first came on, which is the whole point of this section. So thank you very much, Kieran. I appreciate it.
Anytime. Have a good afternoon, guys.
Thanks very much. That was football finance expert Kieran Maguire, who is, of course, do the excellent Price of Football podcast with Kevin Day. It's a really good listen if that's your vibe.
Paul Hawksby and Andy Jacobs, Monday to Friday afternoons 1 till 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.